the man who goes by the name Poppa Don. First time meeting the man. I've heard about him over the years, but I'm glad to have him in the studio because we need to talk about that song right there, man.
Large up, how's it, people, man? Don Poppa in the yard. Live on Trieste, people, live on Trieste, man. Maintaining. Calvin, how's it, man?
Yeah, easy, bro.
No doubt.
Bless up. Thank you for pulling up to the studio, for keeping time as well. And let me ask you this. Why hasn't that song been on rotation?
And now we're getting it to the audience now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Man, it's a really good song. What I like about it is the fact that I can hear two different sounds in there, right? So I can hear the whole dancehall tip on it, and I can also hear the R&B. Very clear, very distinct. No one could miss it. Indeed. So how do you arrive at that kind of versatility?
Well, it's just potluck of cultures and experiences, bro.
Okay.
So, of course, from different, exposing myself to different types of music, because music is a passion. So listening to different types of music, I came up listening to hip-hop, R&B, and largely dancehall. And that's how, you know...
And they're cousins.
Yeah, and they're cousins.
Yes.
And now we have a situation where I'm now doing music and combining all these elements to create a tropical sound. So I'm just tapping into that tropical energy. Yeah, and creating that sound and putting that sound out and telling our stories with that.
How do you pronounce that genre? That you've coined a phrase. It's called
Kantopop.
Kantopop.
Yeah, Kantopop is a short form for Kenyan tropical sounds. Yeah, so it's Kantopop.
Okay.
Yeah, so Kenyan tropical sounds, we're tapping into the tropical energy, the tropical vibe. Dancehall is a tropical energy.
It is.
R&B, tropical energy. Just as we're saying, it's their cousins.
So let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
They're cousins, but we all have one particular genre that we love more, right? So for you, you've mentioned dancehall, and of course there's R&B and there's hip-hop, which you say you came up on, right? So which happens to be your favorite?
That's tough, bro. I wouldn't say that there's one favorite. Because,
trust me, even parents have a favorite kid.
Well,
let's not lie.
I started out with hip-hop.
Okay.
Yeah, hip-hop was the baby, you know?
Yes.
That's where the inception began. And then there's now dancehall that's now really a heavy part of what I execute. So if it's from origin, let's say hip-hop.
Yes.
Yeah, but largely dancehall influence as well. So maybe favorite child, hip-hop.
Favorite child hip-hop, for sure. I mean, a lot of people don't understand the relationship between dancehall and hip-hop. Like, when you think about it, Notorious B.I.G., easily one of the greatest to ever do it. He's actually got a Jamaican background, right?
No doubt, yeah.
Yeah, so when you even listen to the mom, you can hear the influence. Right, so you've been doing this musical thing for a while, right? Yeah. And I've had your name for years upon years, you know, big voice, big man, all of that. Why haven't you skewed yourself to go heavy commercial?
Well, I think it's not really, or how I'd put it is, it's just, I guess it's my journey. Yeah, because I initially started out as a hip-hop artist.
Yeah.
And I went that route for a minute, but I couldn't really get that breakthrough as a hip-hop artist.
Yes.
Commercially. Yeah. So I went back to the drawing board after doing that for years, and the basic factor was I had to create content, or I had to tailor my content towards a commercial outlook.
Yes.
And that's how I now brought in the dancehall influence. How could I create a pop sound or a pop bounce around the hip-hop foundation that I have? And so that's just been part of the journey. Like, until you get to the point where you meet a threshold, I mean, that's how it is. So it's just my journey. I wouldn't say like, I wouldn't put it down to...
So let me ask you this. What's from your experience, having gone full circle, right? What is the one thing that's needed for you to actually break out in hip-hop in Kenya? Commercially, that is.
Well... Particularly hip-hop, or just as an artist fully?
Okay, we can start with hip-hop and can go full artist, right?
Well, hip-hop, first of all, I'd start by saying I think that hip-hop is still a minority within, because I mean, even with the science that's out there, reggae dancehall is what's really out there. And so if you say what's required for a hip-hop artist to blow up, basically it's consistency. I think that's what's right, and consistency to the audience that's really tapping into it. Now, like for hip hop, the experience I've had is those that are predominantly Swahili,
yes,
really make breakthroughs because the audience is larger. The audience they tap into fundamentally is larger, and so they stand a better chance into breaking into the game, particularly hip hop. We're talking hip hop.
Okay,
yeah.
interesting.
So I think you have to have a great balance with how you execute your lingo, and basically consistency and the connection. Yeah.
I mean, we've seen the greats, of course, the Nyashinskis, Octos, Calligraph, all of these different guys. Primarily, like you just said, they've got a lot of, they do it both English, Swahili, but most of their songs are most definitely in Swa. Now, I want to get into your music because a lot of people. I want to introduce our Trace audience to your music, right? So I've got a song called Safer Than Sorry. Tell me about this song.
Safer Than Sorry. It is what it is, Safer Than Sorry. And basically, it's
100.
It came from a position of being vulnerable and understanding how human nature works, man. There's sometimes you got to have challenges and human nature and human beings will let you down. And so Safer Than Sorry is just a trajectory of that. So I'm just telling that story from my perspective.
From your perspective.
And from perspectives of from other people as well.
Wow.
So Safer Than Sorry, man.
Fam,
Large up.
I like the consistency. So we've played 2 of your songs, right?
Yeah.
We started off with Jazza Jazza, then went on to Safer Than Sorry. Bro, talk to me. So what was your first, when did you fall in love with music? Because I can tell you're a music head, for sure.
Yeah,
if you're playing around those genres, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me when you knew, you know what? I really like this thing.
I think from when I was young, I mean, it starts even when I think back into the experiences that I've had, because, I mean, yes, ever since I was a child, it's been in my blood. It's just that I never figured out how I'd get into music.
Yeah.
I mean, to want to make a living out of it. But music has always been part of my life and my passion. Through thick and thin, it's like nothing you walk with entirely. It's in my DNA.
It is.
Genetically, it is in my DNA. My grandfathers, I have a grandfather who was in music, largely. And so, those factors play.
They do
play. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Man, listening to your music, I just can't help but ask, why no collaborations with, like, when I hear your sound, I can see, boom, that's an easy fit with Redson there. That's an easy fit with Yray. That's an easy fit with KRG. All of these different cats who borrow into that dancehall pocket, or rather are skewed towards it. No collaborations with them?
I'm headed that route. You see, this is like what you're playing right now is Kantopop Volume 1.
Yes.
It was 6 tracks. You played 2 out of 6.
Yes.
And so basically what I wanted to do is have the blueprint of what I represent first of all,
yes,
which is that tropical sound. And then now looking into collaborations. But even, even within this project, there's silent collaborators. I wrote the complete songs, but there's people who really put in work.
Helped,
like first of all, DMC Gze. If you're wondering how the production is good and whatnot, there's one man, DMC Gze, whose sound engineering is unmatched.
I can tell.
Yeah,
super.
And I was being backed up. The backup vocals, I also had an artist by the name of Wendy K.
Hey, Wendy K. Shout out to Wendy K.
She's the person that's, if you hear the vocals throughout the tracks, like I think the next track, if you play Heads High, you really see how prominent she features in the background vocals. And so there's people within that project who I already collaborate with. But for the larger dancehall community, I'm now reaching out to them for collaborations. So this is just the beginning. It's not that I'm not open to collaborations. I'm actually open to that.
Why I say that is because, dancehall is a very, let's not even talk about dancehall. Let's talk about patois, right? It's already a very musical language. They're able to just get on a beat and already, you can feel them flow on it, right? So a lot of people struggle to get onto that whole dancehall tip, right? It could be mother tongue interference, just how you pronounce this or that. But for you, I can tell, you're definitely not struggling.
We make good vibes only. Good vibes only.
Good vibes, good vibes, only, good vibes. Man, let me ask you this, man. You're making all of this good music, bro. why is it that it's not getting out there? Like from your perspective, because fam, I can tell you this, we're going to champion this music over here. Shout out to my music director. We're definitely going to play that, and we need to make sure that a lot of people know that Poppa Don's actually making the music. But what is it that's going wrong in the system?
Now, okay, to answer your question, first of all, you asked if, what was the initial question, first of all?
You're making great music, right? A lot of people are making great music, right? But we hear a whole bunch of other music that gets airplay instead of this good music.
Structurally, we do have challenges. That's been a reality for the music, how the music is sourced out, how it's... but I think... How should I put it, bro? Like...
I don't want you to try and mince your words. Tell me, what's the issue?
Structurally, we do have challenges. That's the issue. So we don't, sometimes we have a situation where good music doesn't get out there because maybe people just need to play their part in the whole entire structure. I think that's the direction I'm trying to go with this conversation. Because we have a situation, like, for example, you're asking how is it that my music hasn't gotten out there sometimes?
Yeah.
Sometimes we reach out to people and they don't, tap into that music. So sometimes we don't have a structure even how to reach out.
To the people.
Yeah. Like, for example, I've gotten a chance to be on Trace today.
Yeah.
But there's like 1,000 other artists who'd want the
same opportunity,
same outlook. But how do they even penetrate the structure?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do they even reach out? They don't even know where to start, so structurally we have those gaps.
Yeah.
So the artist is always at the end tail of the situation. Because so structurally, if we can tighten those issues, where the artist and the structure can merge, and so that we can have all this music that
all
we
this
can look
good music.
Yeah, and Kenyan music is beautiful music. We have to appreciate we're mixed in our culture and in our exposures, and so we can't cut other people out and have other people in.
Not at all.
Yeah, we have to have an industry that's functioning. Yeah,
right.
In this market, we need a functioning industry, and if we can just have a structure that's functioning, that would be dope. If we could collect our royalties properly. That would be so that artists can live dignified and productive lives.
Yeah.
So structurally, if we can get that in order, that would be dope. Artists would be able to
eat, fend for their own.
And we're seeing this the same. Our counterparts in other countries are living dignified and productive lives from
music,
same crafts, but we're struggling because our structure's also not tightened enough. Yeah,
I mean, it's high time we did that, man. This conversation has been ongoing for way too long. Poppa Don, shout out to you. Thank you for coming through.
You should have me on your podcast. Like, if you really want to talk about industry
trust me.
breakdown,
Let me tell you this. Let me
put my thoughts in order and really.
Let me make the big announcement. Shout out to Mr. Teo. I see him passing through the studio. We're about to drop an extra. It's called the Good Morning Trace podcast, where we get to have more in-depth conversations. Look out for that in the next couple of weeks. I think you will actually be the first guest. We'll chop it up
larger,
and
man.
then throw it out there.
To do so.
Bless.